Hey Raiders, if you've been diving into ARC Raiders, you already know that blueprints are basically the secret sauce for getting your hands on the best gear, weapons, and gadgets. Without them, surviving the wastelands is way harder than it needs to be. So today, we're talking about the best spots to farm blueprints early on, so you can start crafting those rare and legendary weapons that will make every mission a breeze. Now, I know grinding for blueprints can feel a bit tedious if you don't know where to look. That's why I've put together a list of the top spots where these precious blueprints drop most consistently. Trust me, a little planning goes a long way, and hitting the right zones can save you hours of running around aimlessly. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to go and what to prioritize so you can start stacking up all the blueprints you need to upgrade your gear fast. Whether you're chasing that shiny new weapon or just want to be fully prepped for the tougher raids ahead, these spots will have you covered. So let's jump in and start farming like a pro. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos,
don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos.
Subscribe. Enjoy watching. If you are trying to get your hands on some blueprints in ARC Raiders, you already know how tricky that can be. These items are classified as consumable precious resources, and the game does not exactly make it easy to find them. They drop as randomized global loot, which means there is no guaranteed way to predict where they will appear. But still, there are a few smart ways to farm them efficiently without constantly getting eliminated by other raiders. The key thing to remember is that blueprints tend to drop more often in zones that have medium or heavy loot ratings. Those areas usually have better rewards, but they are also crawling with ARC enemies and full of players who are thinking exactly like you are. It is the classic risk and reward setup. Great loot, but a big chance of getting ambushed. That is why the best way to farm blueprints early in the game is to find locations that are off the main path, where there is still good loot potential but not a lot of competition. The fewer people you run into, the higher your odds of surviving long enough to extract what you find. One of the best early game farming sites that fits that description is the Formikai Outpost. You can find it on the northeastern side of the Dam Battlegrounds map. This spot is often overlooked by most players, which makes it perfect for sneaky solo farmers. Formikai Outpost is basically a tall isolated tower that only has one entry point. That means it is easy to defend if anyone decides to push you while you are looting. At the same time, it can be easy to miss entirely if someone is just passing through, which is great for you because it keeps the area quiet. Inside the outpost, you will always find two crate spawns. One of them can be a weapon crate, and there are usually several smaller containers around the room. That is a lot of loot potential packed into one compact area. Here is the trick to getting the most out of Formikai Outpost. When you step inside, make sure you check both your right and left sides immediately. You will usually find bags, containers, and sometimes a cache. Then, move toward the main area in the center of the tower. That is where blueprints drop 9 times out of 10. Another advantage of this spot is that it is relatively safe to reach. Because it is isolated, you can actually make your way there by circling around the map's edge. This route lets you avoid ARC enemies and other raiders almost entirely. And here is a fun bonus. At night, loot rates in ARC raiders go absolutely crazy. If you try farming Formikai Outpost during the night raids, loot output increases by almost 150%. The downside, ARC enemies also triple in number, so you will need to stay alert and avoid drawing too much attention. If you get lucky and spawn somewhere near Formikai Outpost, that is perfect. You can head straight there and get to work. But if you end up spawning on the opposite side of the map, do not worry. There is another good backup spot. That backup location is called Raider Outpost East. It is not quite as efficient as Formikai Outpost, but it is still worth checking if you happen to be nearby. The spawn rate for blueprints there is a bit lower, but it is safer than trying to cross the entire map just for one tower. The thing about Raider Outpost East is that it is more frequently visited, since it is near one of the regular spawning zones. So if you plan to loot there, move quickly. Check all the crates in the area and do not hang around for too long or you will attract unwanted attention. No matter where you farm, blueprints in RC Raiders are always randomized. You could get something brand new, or you might find duplicates of recipes you already have. That randomness is part of what makes farming in this game both exciting and frustrating. The good news is that duplicates are still valuable. Each blueprint can be sold for 5,000 coins, which makes them a reliable way to earn money even if you already own the crafting recipe. So, no run ever feels completely wasted. When you think about it, farming blueprints is not just about luck. It is about strategy. Choosing the right location, knowing when to move, and avoiding unnecessary fights are all part of the grind. It rewards smart, patient players who know how to pick their battles. So if you are trying to build better gear early on, skip the crowded hot zones and head for quieter loot areas like Formikai Outpost or Raider Outpost East. You will survive longer, farm more effectively, and slowly stockpile the blueprints that will carry you into late game with a serious advantage. If you are moving into mid to late game in Ark Raiders, the farming spots for blueprints get a bit more intense. The maps are bigger, the loot is better, but so are the risks. You need to know where to go if you want to maximize your gains without constantly getting taken out by other raiders. On the Buried City map, the new district is a solid spot. There are 3 caches hidden among the fallen pipes, and each one has a chance to drop blueprints. It is not overly crowded, so you can often grab what you need if you move carefully and stay aware of your surroundings. If you find yourself on the spaceport map, the shipping warehouse is worth checking. The containers scattered around the zone give a slight chance to drop blueprints. It is a slower farm compared to some other locations, but it is relatively low risk if you are not trying to compete with multiple players at once. The control tower on the A6 map is a different story. Most containers on the first floor can drop blueprints, which sounds great. Until you realize this zone is highly contested, you will need to move quickly, watch for ambushes, and make sure you are ready to fight other raiders. Patience alone will not keep you alive here. It's on the Blue Gate map. The village is another contested zone. Almost every container could hold a blueprint, but be warned, rival raiders love hiding around corners to take unsuspecting players out. If you can handle the tension, this spot can be very rewarding. Nearby, the adorned wreckage in Blue Gate is a more tactical option. If you are on the Wither Trace quest, follow the beeping sound to find a raider's cache. These often contain blueprints, and since you are already in the zone for a quest, it is a great way to multitask. Finally, Pilgrim's Peak is the king of blueprint drops on the Blue Gate map. You will get the highest chances here, but it comes with the highest risk. ARC enemies are everywhere, and other hostile raiders are likely to patrol the area. If you are confident in your combat skills, this spot can fill your blueprint stash quickly, but it is not for the faint of heart. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.